Welcome back. Welcome back. You are listening to Whissel Wednesdays here on AM 1170. The Answer. My name is Kyle Whissel, your host with Whissel Realty. Joined as always by Mr. Jason Hall with Team Home Loans. And we've also got Bryan Fields with the Whissel Realty team here in studio. And if you've ever listened to the show, you know that Jason loves to pronounce.
I'm just not a grammar expert.
He's not a grammar expert. And
can't pronounce.
You know, what I've realized, Jason, is like the shorter words are the harder words for you. So words like sit and set, you know, those are the tough ones. So I want to give you an easier one. You got it pulled up in front of you?
I do.
All right. This gentleman is the kicker for the Houston Texans. So if you watched Monday Night Football, you got introduced to this guy. And he's of Hawaiian descent and has a very, very Hawaiian name that happens to have 30 letters.
Did you actually count them? So it's 30.
It's 30 letters with, I think, 3 or 4 apostrophes just in his first name.
I've never seen a name like this, and I know he's got a shorter name. I'm probably going to butcher this one, Ka'imi, but it is literally looks like Ka'imi no yu lo meka ikeo ke kum yupas. I've never seen a name with 30 letters in the first name. I mean, and I know that's very, I'm sure, prideful for the Hawaiian community, and there's certain reasons why they do that. And I don't know, but I've just never seen it. Being a San Diego native, when we looked it up during the break here, Kyle, you just started laughing. I'm looking at it because there's no way I can pronounce that. I mean, who can, unless you're probably, know Hawaiian, right?
How long did it take him as a kid to write his name?
I'm sure that's why they have it, Ka'imi, and I'm sure there's a full reason why, and I'm sure there's probably a couple grandfathers and fathers and different things mixed in there of his heritage, why they, proudly provide all those names.
It's pretty amazing.
It's amazing. And he was born January 29, 1994. So 94. So the kid's not even 20. He's 23 years old. Wow, he's going to be 24 here in a few months.
He's got more letters in his name than he does years on this earth.
Yeah, that is amazing, Kyle. So, Todd, do you have any examples of how he pronounces his name?
Were you able to find one?
I don't have anything of his full name. It's his short name.
We need the full name. They made him pronounce it on Monday Night Football.
Followed his local boy from Hawaii, makes it to the pros. Ka'imi Fairbairn followed.
That's the easy version, yeah.
Ka'imi.
So they made him do it on Monday Night Football to pronounce the whole thing. And it takes like 5 seconds just to pronounce his first name.
Oh, did they do that before the game, like when they tell you your name and what school you went to?
No, they did it at halftime.
Oh, so they did a separate segment.
They showed a little interview with him. It was fun.
Yeah.
So other fun stuff going on, Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So some of you guys have heard of Bitcoin and are just like, oh, whatever, that's nonsense, that's stupid. Well, let me give you a little insight. This time last year, Bitcoin was trading at under $1,000.
Which was still super high for a lot of us thought back then.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Bitcoin has now surpassed $10,000. So it has gone up tenfold just in the last 12 months. It is absolutely insane, and it's getting more and more attention. Here we are talking about Bitcoin right now.
Yeah, the big show here.
It is completely blowing. I mean, yeah, we've changed lives. I mean, Kawhi Leonard, we helped him win the
MVP.
NBA MVP.
Yeah.
I mean, so we've made magic happen. So we're going to make the world get exposure to Bitcoin.
So what is Bitcoin? Break it down.
The easiest way, and this is probably terrible that I'm explaining this, but I'm going to do the best I can, and this is being recorded, so I'm going to do my best not to screw it up. But Bitcoin, simply put, is digital gold. And part of the reason that Bitcoin and the overall cryptocurrency world, which Bitcoin is a type of cryptocurrency, was brought about was really kind of a screw you to the government and the overall centralization of things. And Bitcoin's goal was to decentralize currency. Because if you look at some of these other countries, here in America, we're not as screwed up as other countries. We have inflation and stuff like that, but our currency is not as controlled as some of these
other. But some people believe ours is even controlled.
To a certain extent.
Right.
But then you've got other countries like Venezuela and some of these other crazy countries where they're literally just seizing money from your bank accounts. Like, that's insane. And so one of the goals of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies is to circumvent governments and circumvent central authorities like banks, for an example. And that's the goal of Bitcoin. And it allows these peer-to-peer transactions to happen between me and somebody in Venezuela, and that person can then sell the Bitcoin to somebody in China, and they could sell to somebody in New Zealand. And it allows these transfers to happen because normally there's exchange rates and all this stuff when you transfer stuff between companies. But with Bitcoin, there's a current number that Bitcoin is trading at, and no matter which country you're in, those trades can happen. And the crazy part about it is the underlying technology that's called blockchain, and that's what actually allows these transactions to happen almost instantaneously and at extremely low transfer rates, where you want to transfer money right now, you send a wire. Right. It takes a day most of the time for the wire to go through, and one bank's charging you 30, 40 bucks out, 30, 40 bucks in. Like, there's these massive fees. So another part of this is to eliminate a lot of that, where you're transferring money for pennies on the dollar versus what you're doing for a basic wire right now.
And is it just backed based on the value of the stock? I mean, is there any...
So it's not a stock, it's cryptocurrency, but it's very similar to trading stocks. People are buying, people are selling, the value is determined.
Though, right?
It's being traded, yes.
So it is being traded.
Does it have a universal amount? So unlike the peso or unlike the dollar, is it all
for the
same?
most part? Obviously, there's exchange rates. So like when we are looking at it here in America, we're looking at the value based on the U.S. dollar, whereas if somebody's looking in Italy, they're looking based on the euro.
To U.S. dollars, right? If you're not converting, if you're just
that's what
you're getting to, right,
yeah.
Brian?
Yeah.
So I mean, it sounds like if I owe somebody X amount, that X amount should be, we agreed on, if we're going to pay Bitcoin, that it be one Bitcoin.
Correct.
Right. And then whether no matter what country it's at, it's one Bitcoin.
Yeah, exactly.
So
that's the beauty
stuff.
of it too,
Right.
is that it eliminates a lot of that,
That's really
dealing
cool.
with the different exchange rates and all of that crazy stuff. You're just trading Bitcoins.
But the one thing you said happened this past year is when the value really dropped. It's like when China made it illegal or something to utilize that so-called currency.
Yeah, so Chinese government stepped in and shut down a lot of the exchanges, which we kind of look like the New York Stock Exchange or NASDAQ are exchanges. So they had shut down all of the exchanges in China at a certain point. And it looks like they may be starting to reopen some of that stuff, because China is one of those countries that tries to control everything that their people do. And that dropped the value almost 50% within 2 days, and dropped it down to 3,000. And now here we are at 10,000 just months later. So it's very, very volatile. It's not for everybody. If there's a day that occurs that Bitcoin doesn't move 5%, it's almost kind of weird. So, I mean, you're talking this thing's going up $500 one day, down $500 the next day. That's normal movement in Bitcoin.
It's major gambling,
crazy.
but there's people that we've heard of making, hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah. I mean, if
Right.
you
Early
bought
investors.
this even a year ago, if you put $1,000 into this
10
a
grand,
year
right?
ago, yeah, it's gone up 10x. So it's going up $10,000. You put 10 grand in, it's worth $100,000. Put 100 grand in, it's worth $1 million. You literally could have taken $100 investment and turned it into $1 million. I just started buying, and I don't own Bitcoin specificically. And obviously, I think we have to put a disclaimer: this is not financial advice, and talk to a financial consultant,
sure you put
and all
that
that
in there,
stuff.
Todd.
We're realtors, man. We're realtors, so and lenders. But yeah, I mean, I started buying some of the other cryptocurrencies out there, and they're up 30, 40% in a 2-month period, which is an amazing return, But Bitcoin has been the breadwinner, and that's the one that everybody's been buying, because as novices get in, which, my theory on this is that most people don't even know what the hell Bitcoin is yet, and it's already gone up 10x in the last year. As more people learn about it, what's going to happen? I mean, a lot of people believe you'll see this thing go up to $40,000 next year at the rate that it's going, because as it gets more adoption, it tends to drive the value up.
Yeah, anything I can't touch, man, I'm not crazy about it. I'm the old school guy, right? But that's why I love real estate, right? I can touch it. I know that we need a home to live in San Diego, and even our investment properties, there's going to be tenants and people who want to live here. As long as we have jobs, we don't have a bunch of Dean Spanos ripping their, companies out of San Diego. I think we're going to be all right here. And to me, that's a tangible asset versus intangible. And, as exciting as Bitcoin is, I'm concerned that, hey, I missed the boat already, and I wish I could have got a 10 to 100 times return in the last year or 5 years, whatever it might have been. But I remember people talking about that type of currency even 10 years ago, that was kind of the future.
Yeah, it's been around almost, I don't remember the exact year that it was released, but people are like, oh, it's a fad, it's going to go away. It's been around for well over 5 years now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not going anywhere except up, really.
Right.
So, I mean, if you're thinking about it, talk to your financial advisor, get their opinion on it. I think there's a lot of institutional money that is already in it kind of discreetly, but I think it's going to become more mainstream, and I think you're going to see people trading that just as much as they're trading stocks. And there's some cool stuff that they're doing with cryptocurrencies. And again, you're listening to Whissel Wednesdays here, AM 1170, The Answer. And it's not just, like Bitcoin, again, the closest comparison is digital gold. There's, when there's a new company that comes on, they do an IPO to raise money so that they can do more stuff with this company. There's what are called ICOs, initial coin offerings. So companies that have a desire to decentralize various different things will raise funds and then use those funds to fund the project of decentralizing various things that they do. So some of those things could be, there's one I know that's out there that wants to decentralize cloud storage. So right now, if you want to store files in a cloud, you're going through something like Dropbox or Box or Google Drive. They want to decentralize and almost remove the middleman, Google or Dropbox, from the equation and allow people peer-to-peer to kind of share storage space without any central entity controlling that. Like, there's projects like that. There's all these things that they want to decentralize and ultimately remove the middleman from these things.
But if the government, if they want to screw the government, and all these different governments in all these countries are all about control, right? Politicians, the reason they become in there is control, right? They want control of government. I just, I guess I'm old school where I just can't believe they're going to allow this to happen. But I've seen other things that are going to happen that I can't believe are going to happen, including, some of the tax reform that they're talking about, right? How that might, impact Southern California real estate, impact jobs here in San Diego.
Yeah. Well, here's what's crazy. There just recently, within the last month, was a real estate transaction completed purely with Bitcoin. No loan, no cash. Just the buyer sent the seller X amount of Bitcoin and purchased a home.
Well, I'm guessing that seller's pretty happy since it appears Bitcoin keeps going up.
I mean, it's literally gone up 10% in the last day.
So as much as we love real estate, the short-term play, at least for the seller, was they probably benefited on the return on Bitcoin than the return on their home. So amazing stuff.
It's totally crazy. If you guys want to get into Bitcoin, there's a lot of videos and stuff out there that can educate you on it. The two that I've found to be the most helpful are all on YouTube. YouTube's the best place to learn about this stuff. One is Data Dash, DATA-DASH, and Nick Merton runs that. Really good guy and really gets it and simplifies it to where it makes sense. The other one is Modern Investor. Both these guys have some really cool videos just explaining the basics of how this crap works so that you can get a better understanding of it.
Because it's pretty much here. It sounds like it's here to stay.
It's not going anywhere. So if I were you, I'd consider,
at least
I'm not going to tell you what to do. I would consider investing in some cryptocurrency. So said what I need to do. So we're going to head to a break.
From a real estate agent.
Yeah, from a real estate agent. I mean, we like to play a little bit and take some risks. So this is a risky investment.
Let's talk about some real estate coming up after the break, Kyle.
Yeah, we're going to head to a break. We get back. We're going to talk Bryan Fields. We're going to talk about the real estate market, what you need to know this holiday season. You're listening to Whissel Wednesdays on AM 1170, The Answer.